We're going inside the most astoundingly costly presidential planes in the world today, including Russia's $500 million zero-sense airborne beast, India's $560 million zero-sense Sky Palace, and America's $660 million zero-sense Flying Fortress. And believe me when I say that some of these aircraft resemble Bond villain lairs more than they do real airplanes. First, let's talk about the United States. Air Force One. Many people are surprised to learn that Air Force One isn't the name of a single aircraft. Actually, it's a call sign for any aircraft flying the president for the U.S. Air Force. Yet, when most people think of Air Force One, they see those two famous Boeing 747-200B aircraft, which are technically referred to as VC-25F. Each of these flying monsters, which at the time cost around $325 million, 0 cents, was delivered in 1990. However, when you take inflation into account in the present day, you would need between $660, 0 cents, to $700 million, 0 cents, for each one. As a result, Air Force One is not only the priciest presidential aircraft, but also among the priciest aircraft ever constructed. What, therefore, makes that outrageous price tag justified? To begin with, it's much more than simply an aircraft. In essence, Air Force One functions as a flying command center. The president can keep in touch with government and military officials from anywhere in the globe because, to its many top-secret communication systems, the president could actually govern the nation from 40,000 feet in the air because, to the very sophisticated technology aboard. What about the security features? Like something from an espionage film. The aircraft is equipped with secret countermeasures, radar jamming technology, and anti-missile defenses. It is designed to survive electromagnetic pulses and even situations that would cause a typical airplane to shut down. It resembles a mobile White House inside. The president has access to a private suite that includes a bedroom and bathroom, a complete conference room for discussions, and even a medical suite with a flying doctor on duty. Additionally, there are secure communication rooms that match those at the Pentagon, staff offices, and a press area for visiting reporters. The kitchen? The aircraft has adequate food and equipment for long-distance crises, and it can prepare meals for more than 100 passengers. Air Force One may also refuel while in flight. This implies that it can remain in the air for as long as the crew is able to fly if necessary. The tale doesn't end there. Based on the Boeing 747-8, the United States is now developing two brand new VC-25B aircraft. The cost of the pair is $3.9 billion, 0 cents. Although they are still in the development stage, they will revolutionize presidential air travel whenever they are ready. However, America is not the only nation spending a lot of money on extravagant luxury. Let's discuss India. Each of the two Boeing 777-300ERs that make up Air India One cost around $560 million, 0 cents. Although it is a significant investment, it shows India's increasing influence in the world and its commitment to protecting its leaders while displaying its might. Both the Prime Minister and the President of India are served by this aircraft. Additionally, they are equipped with some very high-end features like as advanced missile defense systems and safe international communication technology that allows Indian leadership to be in continual touch with authorities back home, wherever they may be in the world. It's a beautiful arrangement inside, a private office, a conference room for high-level discussions, and a whole suite for relaxing are all features of this elegant and contemporary Indian building. It is a flying representation of technology and heritage. Air India One can travel almost anywhere on Earth without refueling, because of the 777 platforms' enhanced range. Because of this, India has a significant diplomatic advantage. No delays or dangerous stopovers, simply a direct worldwide presence. Some of the most skilled pilots in the nation fly the aircraft, since it is owned and operated by the Indian Air Force. Each member of the team undergoes rigorous training and receives the highest security clearances. Air India One is more than simply a private aircraft. It represents India's ascent to prominence in the world economy. It demonstrates to the world that India is no longer playing catch-up. It's in the major leagues already. Russia also takes a totally different approach, keeping its presidential jet hidden in secret, while the United States and India freely display their high-tech aircraft. The Russian president is transported by the Ilyushin Il-96 300PU. The price? Depending on how extensive the adaptations are, estimates range widely, from as little as $70 million, 0 cents, to you can guarantee that changes are significant when it comes to Russia. Russia's presidential jet is easily one of the most mysterious aircraft in the sky. While countries like the US and India proudly flex the features of their leaders' planes, Russia takes a totally different route. Silence. No detailed specs. No official photos. Not even a confirmed price tag. Just whispers, rumors, and a whole lot of secrecy. And honestly, that silence makes the jet even more legendary. The plane itself is the EL-90-6300PU. And unlike most countries that rely on Boeing or Airbus, Russia went all in with a homegrown design. It's not just a nod to national pride. It's a power move. A way of saying, we don't need your tech, we've got our own. And this thing isn't just built to fly, it's built to lead. With long-range capabilities, encrypted communications, and what insiders claim are luxurious custom interiors, this aircraft is less of a jet and more of a flying Kremlin. Inside, think VIP presidential suite meets Cold War bunker. Multiple bedrooms, high-end conference zones, and dedicated relaxation spaces. Word is, the jet is decked out in custom wood, rich upholstery, and gold finishes. Because subtlety is not the Russian way. As for defenses, totally classified. But based on expert leaks and military chatter, the Il-96 has one job: keep the president safe and in command, no matter the threat. War, cyber attack, global emergency. This jet is prepped for it all. It's flown by a top-tier unit under the Russian Special Air Detachment, an elite aviation team with military discipline and presidential-level clearance. Every mission is planned with clockwork precision, and nothing, absolutely nothing, is left to chance. And here's the thing. The Il-96 isn't just transportation. It's a statement. It says Russia builds its own, protects its own, and answers to no one. That estimated $550 million, 0 cents price tag, that's not just for the plane. That's for the full package. Defense systems, encryption, upgrades, interiors, prestige, intimate, all in one. Now, from secret skies to high-stakes diplomacy, let's talk about Turkey. This is where things get interesting, because Turkey's $500 million 0 cents presidential jet, they didn't even pay for it. It was a gift. In 2018, the Emir of Qatar handed over one of the most luxurious planes on Earth, a specially customized Boeing 747-8I, to the Turkish government. That's right. Turkey didn't buy the jet, they were given it. And not just any 747, this one was loaded with next-level features. Boardrooms, luxury suites, private lounges, and even a fully equipped hospital on board. That's not a plane, that's a flying presidential fortress. The 747 AI is already one of the world's most powerful and fuel-efficient jets, But once Qatar's custom upgrades were installed, it became one of the most elite aircraft on the planet. High-tech comms, defense systems, and a luxury interior that looks more like a five-star resort than a government office. So why did Qatar give it away? Well, geopolitics. The move was seen as a bold diplomatic play, strengthening ties between Turkey and Qatar at a time when both countries were navigating major global shifts. And it definitely got the world's attention, but back home in Turkey, not everyone was impressed. The timing of the gift raised eyebrows, especially with rising inflation, a struggling economy, and widespread public frustration. Critics argued that flaunting a $500 million zero-cents jet was tone deaf during such a tough period for Turkish citizens. Still, the plane stayed. And politically, it worked. The aircraft became a flying symbol of power. Proof that Turkey was stepping up on the world stage, not just economically, but strategically. Now, let's land in Egypt, and another aircraft that made headlines for all the wrong reasons. Egypt also joined the Boeing 747-8 club, reportedly spending around $487 million, 0 cents, on its new presidential aircraft. But unlike Turkey's diplomatic gift, Egypt's decision sparked controversy the moment it hit the news. The issue wasn't the jet itself. The 747-8 is one of the best platforms money can buy. The problem? Timing. Egypt was facing serious economic challenges when the purchase was revealed. Inflation was high, citizens were struggling, and the optics of spending nearly $500 million on a luxury jet didn't exactly sit well with the public. Many felt the move symbolized disconnection, leadership investing in prestige while the average Egyptian faced rising costs of living. That said, the plane is impressive with its extended range, spacious layout, and presidential-level upgrades. It's fully equipped for diplomatic travel, emergency coordination, and top-level governance on the move. But like many of the jets on this list, it's not just about travel. It's about power projection. And in today's high-stakes geopolitical game, optics matter. In 2022, Egypt quietly made a major upgrade to its presidential fleet, swapping out an aging Airbus A340 for something far more powerful. A Boeing 747-8i. The deal was estimated to be somewhere between $240 million, 0 cents, and $500 million, 0 cents, with $487 million, 0 cents being the figure that kept surfacing in media reports. What makes this even more interesting is that the aircraft wasn't custom-built from scratch. It was originally ordered by Lufthansa but never delivered, which gave Egypt the opportunity to get a near-brand-new, high-end aircraft, possibly at a discount. Instead of going through Boeing directly, they picked up a nearly unused jet and customized it for presidential use. Smart move? Maybe. Controversial? Definitely. The timing of the purchase couldn't have been worse. Egypt was, and still is, dealing with serious economic challenges. Inflation, unemployment, rising costs of living, all while the government was rolling out austerity policies and receiving financial aid from international organizations. So when news broke that the country had dropped nearly $500 million on a presidential aircraft, a lot of people weren't happy. Critics questioned how such a massive expense could be justified when millions of Egyptians were struggling to make ends meet. The backlash was loud and emotional, but supporters of the decision had a different take. And they argued that Egypt, given its critical role in Middle Eastern, African, and Mediterranean affairs, needed a modern, secure, and capable presidential aircraft. The old one just wasn't cutting it anymore. And this new jet? It's loaded. With the Boeing 747-8i's insane range and fuel capacity, Egypt's leadership can travel to nearly any part of the world without a refueling stop. an important factor when you're engaging in high-level diplomacy across multiple continents. The aircraft features advanced communication systems to stay in constant contact with government and military officials, even during long international flights. Oh dear. It's more than a plane. It's a mobile command post. The interiors are ultra-luxurious too. Sure, it raised eyebrows, but when hosting foreign dignitaries or conducting international negotiations, the environment matters. First impressions are powerful, and a sophisticated presidential aircraft can quietly communicate status, strength, and modern capability. At the end of the day, the aircraft became a symbol of Egypt's ambitions, yes, but also of the fine line governments walk when choosing between state image and economic sensitivity. The conversation it sparked about priorities, optics, and leadership wasn't just local. It echoed globally. Now compare that to how South Korea approached the same problem, and it's a whole different story. Instead of buying a presidential plane outright, South Korea took a more financially strategic path. In 2022, they started leasing a Boeing 747 AI from Korean Air, the country's national aircraft, and transformed it into their official presidential aircraft, known as Code 1 Let's Talk Numbers. The Boeing 747-8 typically runs north of $400 million, 0 cents, but South Korea's leasing deal cost just $120 million, 0 cents, over 5 years. That's a fraction of the cost, and yet the president still gets all the bells and whistles. And leasing comes with some serious perks. First, Korean Air already has deep expertise operating this exact model, so you know the maintenance and safety are top tier. Second, leasing gives the government flexibility. If something better comes along in a few years, they're not stuck with outdated tech. The plane itself, a beast. It can carry over 200 people, perfect for large diplomatic missions. And it's fitted with secure communication systems and anti-missile defense. And for a country like South Korea, facing constant security threats on the Korean peninsula, those countermeasures are absolutely critical. Inside, Code 1 might not be dripping in gold and chandeliers, but it has everything needed for presidential travel. Secure comms, private quarters, high-level meeting rooms, the essentials. Done right, it's a perfect balance of function, security, and image without blowing up the national budget. The upgrade from the older 747-400 to the newer 747-8, it wasn't just about aesthetics. It was a reflection of South Korea's rising global profile. As a growing leader in tech, diplomacy, and global trade, the country needed a presidential aircraft to match, and now they've got one, without the financial fallout. And that brings us to Germany, where the approach is, of course, pure efficiency. Germany's presidential aircraft? It's not flashy, it's smart. And honestly, it's very, very German. Meet the Konrad Adenauer, named after the country's first post-war chancellor. The aircraft itself is an Airbus A304-313, clocking in at a relatively modest $260 million, 0 cents. That name alone says a lot. This isn't just a plane. It's a flying tribute to one of the most important figures in modern German history. It's a symbol of stability, democracy, and national values, cruising 35,000 feet in the air. And this aircraft is all business. With the ability to carry up to 375 passengers, it's one of the most flexible presidential jets out there. Whether it's a diplomatic mission, a global summit, or a high-level humanitarian trip, Germany can roll deep, bringing everyone from government officials to top industry leaders and security teams, all in one flight. And here's the kicker. Germany didn't just pick Airbus for convenience. They did it to back European industry. Airbus is a multinational project, and by using an Airbus jet, Germany reinforces its role as a central player in European cooperation and tech leadership. Quiet move? Absolutely. Powerful message? Without a doubt. Don't let the lack of flash fool you. The Konrad Adenauer is loaded with long-haul capability, military-grade security, and real-time global communications. If the German Chancellor needs to make decisions on the fly, literally, this jet is the command center to do it. At $260 million, 0 cents, it's noticeably cheaper than many other presidential jets. But that's not a compromise, it's a choice. Germany's approach is clear. Efficiency first, extravagance later, if ever, and that speaks volumes about the country's political culture. Practical, precise, powerful, still don't underestimate it. This aircraft is equipped to handle everything, from international peace negotiations to global crisis response. The German Air Force operates it with military-grade precision and discipline, ensuring every mission runs smoothly, securely, and without a hitch. Now, while Germany plays it safe and strategic, Bangladesh made a bold move that turned heads. In a surprising leap, Bangladesh invested around $260 million, 0 cents, in a Boeing 773-73, the same aircraft model used by major global airlines for ultra-long-haul flights. For a developing country, that's a massive investment. But this wasn't just a plane purchase, it was a statement of intent. Bangladesh is rising fast. With a booming economy and increasing influence in South Asia, the country needed a presidential jet that matched its ambition, and this jet delivers. The 777-300ER gives Bangladesh non-stop global range, no refueling stops, no delays. That means the president can fly straight to Europe, the Middle East, or even the Americas without breaking pace. In today's fast-moving diplomatic world, that kind of range means real-time relevance. But here's what's interesting. The jet isn't some gold-plated luxury cruise. It's a balanced build. It has business-class seating for the top brass, but also economy seats, which means it's ready for large delegations, not just VIPs. Think official missions, global conferences, or emergency responses. It's a tool, not just a toy. Of course, the purchase drew criticism. People asked, how can a country with poverty issues justify a $260 million 0 cents plane? But supporters argue this. Bangladesh isn't just surviving anymore, it's competing. And to be taken seriously on the world stage, you need to show up. Not late, not behind, and definitely not flying commercial. This aircraft also comes with serious upgrades: secure communications, enhanced navigation, emergency response features, the works. And in a region where geopolitical tension can flip overnight, having a secure presidential jet is more than luxury, it's national strategy. Security is tight. The jet's configuration is designed to protect the president during any crisis, from cyber threats to regional instability. In a country with growing influence and complex diplomacy, that's not optional, it's mission-critical. But by having access to the fullest, with mission-critical, bright line, Bangladesh's new jet isn't just about prestige, it's about presence. It tells the world, we're here, we're ready, and we're not flying under the radar anymore. Bangladesh's new jet isn't just about travel. It's a statement. It signals the country's push to take a more visible role in global conversations, especially around climate change, where it's emerged as a leading voice for vulnerable nations. From coastal erosion to rising sea levels, Bangladesh is living on the front lines. And now, its leaders are flying in with presence and purpose. And from Bangladesh we land in France, where presidential aviation meets European engineering and global diplomacy. France's presidential aircraft, known as Kotem Unite, is an Airbus A330 that cost roughly $200 million, 0 cents. But here's the interesting part. Only 60 million euro, 0 cents of that was for the aircraft itself. The rest, nearly 91,500,000 euro, 0 cents in upgrades. That price tag tells you everything you need to know about presidential aviation. It's not just the plane, it's what you do with it. Inside, it's a flying office, conference room, and bedroom all in one, fully equipped with high-level security systems. Anti-missile defenses weren't even part of the original build. They were added later as global threats evolved. That constant upgrade cycle shows how world leaders are always adjusting to new dangers, even at 35,000 feet. Choosing Airbus wasn't just a practical move. It was political. France is one of Airbus's original partners, and using an Airbus jet sends a clear message. We back our own. It's about supporting European industry and staying independent of American aerospace influence. Firstly, the A330 checks all the boxes, has the range to reach most global destinations, a lower operational cost than larger jets like the 747 or A300, and the versatility needed for today's high-speed diplomacy. For a president who's constantly traveling, having a bedroom on board means showing up rested and ready for tough negotiations. And being able to hold strategy sessions mid-flight, that's become a must in a world where news and crises move fast. France didn't splurge, but it didn't cut corners either. The A330 finds that sweet spot between capability and cost. It's efficient, it's secure, and it gets the job done, all while flying under the radar of public criticism. And now we land in Indonesia, where practicality takes center stage and national pride meets budget-friendly engineering. Indonesia 1. The presidential aircraft is a Boeing Business Jet 2 based on the tried and tested 737-800. The total cost? Around $200 million, 0 cents. Of that, just $58 million, 0 cents, was for the base aircraft. The rest went into upgrades, like communication systems and the basic self-defense setup. And that's the theme here: efficiency. Indonesia didn't go all in on gold trim or over-the-top luxury. Instead, they built a plane that's functional, reliable, and made for the realities of governing the world's largest archipelago. Over 17,000 islands. With geography like that, presidential aviation becomes less of a luxury and more of a necessity. This jet helps the president move quickly across islands, between nations, and around Southeast Asia, without relying on leased aircraft or unpredictable schedules. Built on the solid backbone of the 737-800, Indonesia 1 delivers in performance and reliability while keeping operating costs under control. It's a no-nonsense jet that fits the country's needs without overspending, something many developing nations can relate to. And even though its defense system is minimal compared to some of the more militarized jets on this list, it's enough. Indonesia didn't over-engineer it. They designed for their actual threat environment, balancing protection with budgetary responsibility. Owning this jet also gives Indonesia more autonomy. No more renting planes or worrying about third-party logistics. They control the travel, the security, and the schedule. And that matters. In today's fast-paced diplomatic world, as the fourth most populous country in the world and ASEAN's largest economy, Indonesia is stepping into a bigger role on the global stage. From trade and security to climate and tech, the president needs to be wherever the action is, and this aircraft makes that happen. It's not dripping in opulence, and that's exactly the point. It sends the message that Indonesia is focused on performance, not extravagance. And in a time where optics matter as much as policy, that subtle restraint goes a long way.